Hello, hello. This is Asti Tueller, and I'm here together with Lucy Waddy. And we are on like different sides of the globe, which is really, really fun. And I'm excited to introduce her today. She has a business where she supports moms and women in business, and she does VA work and also hosts retreats to create a really amazing support network. And Lucy, as I was listening to your story, it seems like that motherhood has really been a theme for you throughout your life, and especially that support in motherhood. When was it that you really kind of discovered that that getting that support in motherhood was a huge piece for you that really kind of started to spark your passion?
Yeah, so I think really very early on, as soon as I had my eldest daughter, so over 8 years ago now, um, I did say in my intro video was that I didn't have many people close in, physical proximity to me, that could be there as my support network. And as a first-time mum, I think it's such an unknown world, isn't it? That, you know, there's so many things you can read so much in a textbook or learn from people, but until you're actually in it, there's so many things you still don't know. Um, and so I think really early on, I think I was very lucky. Both of my pregnancies were very easy, really, and straightforward. So I wasn't necessarily needing that extra support through pregnancy. It was just, yeah, once you've got a physical baby there, you're like, okay, I've got to do this now. So yeah, and then just as time has gone on, I've just sort of that passion has grown. And as I started working for myself, I've really realized ultimately it's moms that I want to work with, it's moms that I want to impact, and really support and empower.
That's awesome. And you talked about you talked about that you kind of feel like you've always wanted something more. And maybe it was because your dad was self-employed and you've been involved in a number of different kind of business opportunities that have definitely kind of helped you in your journey of entrepreneurialism.
Yeah.
But that you really have landed on the Spark for Mom. And you talked about one of the main reasons that you wanted to do this was to create a legacy for your children.
Yeah.
And what does that look like for you?
Oh, I that's a great question. I think that's still an evolving idea. But I think just the main thing is that they know they can do anything that they want to do if they put their minds to it and they decide that that is what they want, whether it's something business and career related or whether it's just something generally in life. I think also showing that kind of that women can do anything. I know obviously, back in the day it was very much male focused, and in certain aspects it still is. So I think showing them, especially as I've got two daughters, that they can do anything and they don't need to rely on a man or rely on someone else. Not saying that that's not lovely to have the support of your partner and everything like that, which I definitely love having, but they can do it all themselves. And I think I'm quite fiercely independent in some aspects, whether that's my fire sign coming out, but I think it's just really important to show them that anything's possible, but also it's the building a life that we love. We get full of adventures, full of travel, exploring the world, and and just having it a very happy and positive life for them to grow up in.
I love that. And is that something that they know about? Like, do you talk about your business with them and that, what you're creating and involve them in any way?
Yeah, so with my eldest, so my young one is still probably too young, would be too young to understand, but I definitely will. And with my eldest, she's always known like I work. She may not understand exactly what it is I do, probably in the VA
Yeah.
side of things. She probably
Yeah.
would a bit more now. But definitely in terms of the retreats, like literally just a couple of days ago, I was like, right, we need to plan out the next mama and mini me retreat that we're doing. And I was like, what would you love to do? What are some ideas? And just try and get her involved in the planning and then in the setting up of the day. Last time she loved helping me set up the room, and she actually taught a dance class there herself as well, which, you know, surprised me. I didn't think she'd be confident enough to do that, but she was. And just, yeah, getting her involved is, I think it's really special. It makes it really rewarding for myself. But also then for her, it's really empowering for her to do that as well.
I love that. What a great example. And probably also for the moms that you host as well, to see that interaction is probably very inspiring to
Yeah,
think, how can we involve the whole family in the
yeah,
business and make it such a cohesive approach. So
yeah,
anyway, thank
definitely.
you so much. It's so fun to get to know you a little bit more, and love your passion and your drive, and wish you all the best.
Thank you. I know I when I listened to your video as well, it was very powerful, very emotion driven, very emotional. And there's a lot that obviously I didn't know about you. Obviously, we've only quite recently connected, haven't we? So I definitely loved hearing about your journey into becoming a mom, which I thought was just so special. It's obviously a unique, I guess, journey compared
Yeah.
to the traditional.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know, do you still continue the work with foster children, and how do you do that?
So my boys actually are now both basically adults and out of the house, but they have been very involved in a number of ways, right? and uh, and they both definitely have known about the business. They've had to be supportive. There have been times where I've needed to host, retreats here,
Yeah,
or events, or have business Zooms and different things. And so they definitely know when I'm in working mode and when I'm in mom mode. But I think it's helped them see, that there's different ways that we can go about business. But the empowering thing is that I've always been able to do it with a home base here, which was always my goal, right?
yeah, yeah. I think that's really important. That's one of my things as well, is that flexibility to work around your children and be able to be there and be present for them, isn't it, as well? So that's
Absolutely.
really nice. And I know when you're talking about the mum guilt, it's something I can 100% relate to, and I'm sure pretty much every mum can relate to. And it's
Yes.
one of those things, isn't it? You need to do things for yourself. You need to do all these other things, but then you're like, oh, you feel bad, even if they're absolutely fine and they're happy and having fun. But I'd love to know, if when you're wanting to make that impact and on not just your family but the rest of the world, how did you find that you kind of got control of the mom guilt? Not saying that you never felt it again, but not constantly feeling guilty and like you should be with your children, or you're missing out. So yeah, how did you sort of get control on that while you were creating an impact for others outside of your family?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And it was something that part of it was a super personal journey for me as I was getting going. And really, it very first started with getting a handle on food, getting a handle on meal times, and really being able to create a system that was very simple and doable. And of course, it's always the dream to have a cook, right? Who can just come in and take care of things and do it all. But that's
Absolutely.
not the reality as you get
Yeah.
started in business. Like, you're bootstrapping on all
Hmm.
levels. And I really felt like creating those family meal times and being completely 100% present and making sure my kids were well fed with good food. Because I noticed a difference in their behavior if we were doing fast food because my, hair was on fire,
Yeah.
versus if I was feeding them actual nutritious food, with the food groups, and making sure that their nutritional needs were met, as well as that emotional connection as a family, right? So that was number one. And then I think number two was just getting really clear on what times I had my working hours going and what times I had my family hours going, and really paying attention to those transitional times. Like I feel like there are moments out of the day that are more important for us to be with our kids, which is like when they're getting ready for school and creating that really good tight connection before they leave so they feel, connected and loved, or right when they get home from school being ready with, a snack and a conversation and that kind of thing. And so really try to intentionally be available during all of those kind of movement times. Whereas once they were settled and doing what they were doing, or when they had friend time or homework time, there was just a little bit of time I could carve out to do my thing kind of on a parallel level.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. And I think it's the simple things that often make the biggest difference, isn't it? So I
Yes.
think sometimes we kind of overthink it and feel like we need to make these massive changes, and it's not necessarily the case. And there was another part you were speaking about with, being your best self, and you were really kind of giving your power away, whether it was in your close relationships, or just, in life in general. So I'd love to know, how has choosing to step into your best self, prioritize yourself, impacted your days, but also impacted your children and your family?
Oh my word, that's such a great question. And it's such a powerful, intentional thing to
Yeah.
do as well. And I think part of it is that when we aren't stepping into that best self, right? The best version of us that we can possibly be. I think sometimes we kind of get into a mode of just making sure everybody else is okay with us kind of on the very last rung of the ladder. And when that happens, I don't think we really feel 100% seen or even, loved. And then you're not really anchored into what the possibilities are for you. And so I find that just being really aware of how I'm feeling and being honest with the people around me, and also just choosing into kind of that feeling of alignment of what am I creating versus, you know, letting my emotions rule me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so there is a power into just intentionally choosing that best side.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I really agree with that. That's great. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed getting to know you more, and I can't wait to continue to get to know you more and your story and your journey, and just see the big impact you make on the world.
Oh, thanks, Lucy. Have a good one.
Thank
It's
you
been
so much. You too.
good.
Bye.